Yeah, and I said, like immediately I thought they're psycho. And then speaking of psychos, McGregor. Do you think, first of all, he's a psycho?
I think he's an entertainer, and I think he.
But do you see psychopathic tendencies in him?
I don't know enough about him. I do think that he's probably willing to go to certain lengths to look like it in order to make money.
Okay, that fool seems dead inside when I look at his eyes.
It takes one to know one, and I'll tell you, he's psycho.
But you'd have to see him in the context of not acting, right?
That's the hard part. Is how much of it's an act for the cameras and for promotion, and how much of it is.
Listen, if you're willing to act like that,
and I agree with that.
If it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck.
I think one of the most. I guess I haven't watched enough, but one of the most authentic, expressions I've seen from him was after he lost to Nate after their second fight. He lost in the second fight, right?
Yeah. No, he lost the first one.
The first one, and how he was talking to himself in the locker room. I think that's him.
And he was talking to himself?
He was sitting there and he was kind of going over the fight in his head. And he was. It sounded like there's cameras there.
There's
but
real humility there.
Right, there's all that humility. I think I'm not in a place or up to the expertise to kind of make this a professional judgment, but it's more of I think that he's posturing, right? He's doing that thing where he's puffing up his chest to be more intimidating because of his own anxieties and his own kind of internal struggle he has with his own confidence. So he comes off that way. And I don't know if you guys know a lot about posturing, but there's a lot of historical kind of incidents, for example. So the concept of posturing, if you ever read the book On Killing, have you ever heard of the book On Killing?
On Killing?
Yeah, it's about kind of the psychological toll of warfare, right?
Okay.
So they looked at these, they found these muskets from the Revolutionary War, and they dug them up out of these fields, and they realized that half these rifles weren't even fired, and a lot of them were loaded several times. So it went back to the idea of just looking like you were engaging in a fight actually was satisfying a certain level of that fear that they were expressing. And so only I think it was, someone can correct me later, but I think it's around only 30% of the people are actually fighting or engaging in those battles. Everybody else was posturing.
30%.
That makes sense, because I know if I was fighting for somebody else's cause, if it wasn't my cause, in the war, I wouldn't follow anybody to the death, if it was my cause, I'd fight to the death, but for somebody else, I'd just chill somewhere in the corner. I wouldn't even posture. But who knows, if it's your homies on the side and you care about the homies, then that's different. Then it kind of becomes your cause. But
think about every time you can see people get all rowdy in public and they're going to start some bar fight or something like that. What does everyone do? They try to stand tall, each puff out your chest. We can't help that. That's our instincts to be and look bigger. And he's talking louder. He's talking over him. He's maintaining a certain level of control, and he's showing that, look at me, look how big I am, look how much tougher I am than you. Until they actually go and fight, we'll find that out for sure. But it might be that's how he might build his confidence. That's his process. And
I do that too. When I get scared, I think naturally my body postures up. I've had reactions where I shrivel if I but I've made the conscious choice of allowing my body to take its natural course and posturing up, and then that feeling goes away. You're ready for fight mode.
Yeah, I get the opposite. I feel like I coil into myself. I feel like it's like a snake coiling up, and I'm the more tense I get, the more I almost draw into myself, and I don't like being loud. I like to be quiet, stoic, and just kind of best way I can describe it is I feel like it's like a snake coiling up.
I don't like to be loud either, but I'm talking specifically about my shoulders. They go backwards and my chest goes out.
Yeah,
and then I feel like I'm growing into a guy.
You know what? It's funny because when I think back on my fights, there are a few fights that I sent out in my head that were my best performances, and it's funny because on all those occasions, my wife, or at the time was my girlfriend, or fiance, she was you looked terrible. When you were standing out, she's you look like you were scared. I thought you were for sure gonna lose because I've get into fights. And all my worst performances are the ones I went out there just and acted tough because I was scared, and I was playing with different ways of handling those emotions, and I've gone out there trying to act brave, and fought dudes that I was definitely better than, and just lost because my nerves were too high. And then I've gone out there and just been like, just kind of dead face and slumped shoulders, you know, and then that was when I did the best, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But I've always thought like when I see like McGregor, like from the beginning when I saw him do all this stuff, I would watch that, and to me, the impression that made on me was like it's not confidence, that seems to me as insecurity. Yeah, and he's trying to cover his insecurity.
He's overcompensating.
So watching the press conference, you'd say
maybe we're just assuming, right? We don't know him.
We don't know him personally.
It might be.
We're speculating.
Yeah.
But watching the press conference from your perspective, does Khabib seem more confident?
Again, I don't know, but I would say that from his demeanor, what I've seen from like just naturalistic observation, his confidence seems to be in his just, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and it happens. And he is so almost flat in his affect about
it's like the Nike sign, just do it.
That's to me, that's the best way. Like I've had coaches be like, what are you doing? Like get loose, because I'm just like standing there before a fight, you know. And I'm just like,
what do you need at that given time?
Yeah. Just
sometimes you might need to get loose. Sometimes you might need to just hang out.
True. Yeah. True.
Speaking on that, like before my last